What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. This is episode number 50 of RizzoCast. I'm Steven Rissotto, and today we are joined by none other than the president and general manager of the Frisco Roughriders, the AA team of the Texas Rangers. He's the owner and founder also of Big Fly Gear, and he's a former MLB play-by-play broadcaster. He broadcasted for a number of different teams, most recently the Angels from 2010 to 2021. Nice to see you, Victor. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Nice to have you with us. So how did the whole deal with the Frisco Roughriders come up, and how are you kind of settling into your new gig?
It's crazy to think that I've been on the job now for about 2 months, but it all kind of came about last really November. Previous GM had departed to take a chief marketing officer position locally somewhere in a different company, and Chuck Greenberg and I, who owns the team, he and I have been friendly for the last couple of years, and he kind of shot me a text saying, "Hey, man, don't know what we're going to do with this, but just wanted you to know that we have an opening in Frisco." And I had contemplated making a move from a personal standpoint. We've moved back to the Texas area about 6.5 years ago, and my kids are growing up. My daughter's a senior now, and my son's a sophomore. And I wanted to start thinking about doing more things that were close to home and not travel as much. And truth be told, had COVID not hit, we would have had a normal season last year, regular full slate of games and attendance and everything. I probably would have resigned or retired after last year, but I figured I had one more year left on my deal. I'll do 21 and then right off into the sunset and go do something else, concentrate on the business or otherwise. But this all came out of the blue, and through a lot of long discussions through the month of December with Chuck, we kind of came to an agreement that this is something that I wanted to do, and he wanted me to be a part of it. And we struck a deal basically right around New Year's Eve, thereabouts, and it was announced soon thereafter. So it's been fun. It's been hectic. I've been drinking out of a fire hose. I mean, a lot of things to kind of ramp up from a staff that was really about 8 or 9 after furloughs and the like, to all of a sudden now we're over 20. So I've been really busy, hiring folks and kind of getting the game plan in place. So when we start throwing our first opening day pitch on May 4th, we're back to sort of normal, if you will, and welcome fans in here and kind of hit the ground running.
Yeah, you you walked into a weird circumstance. I wouldn't, I would go a little bit short of saying you walked into a mess, but I mean it's hectic in the minor league level. So you mentioned the first week of May. Is that still the plan? Is there any objections that could possibly go in that way, stand in the way of a May 4th opener?
Well, as we know, a year ago, a year ago in 3 days, I don't think anybody anticipated that the pandemic was going to, take over the world. So, yeah, as of right now, May 4th is the date that we've got circled on the calendar as far as our opening day, and anything can happen between now and then. But that's what we're working towards. And I mean, you're right. I did walk into a hornet's nest, if you will, just from the standpoint of, and this is, and to Chuck's credit, this is kind of how he described it. He says, 21, we're just trying to get through 21 so that we hit the ground running for 22. So 21 is essentially a wash. Whatever we get out of it, we get out of it. That's great. It's icing on the cake. And he told me early discussions, I don't need to hire someone right now. I can make do. I took a big chunk of salary off with this GM leaving. And so it's nice to kind of be able to keep that and not have to spend it on an individual when I don't have to. These are his words. And but I think the more he started thinking about it, and he got a good feel about me and what I would bring to the table, and my strong desire to be home. And this is 30 minutes from my house. That is when he said, you know what, if we're ever going to do something like this and kind of really stir the pot, make a splash, and kind of push our chips into the middle of the table, this would be it. And you'd be the perfect guy to do it. And that's been the mindset. And we've been able to ramp up again from a, like I said, from a staffing perspective, still got a couple more hires. And then we start on our seasonal and internships. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been fun and good atmosphere here. It's great to see the lights on. The wintertime in the minor leagues is tough, right? Especially when you go through like the freeze that we had a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like the doldrums of, you can't wait for the grass to turn green and the lights are always off, it seems like, but now there's some life in this building, and it's good to see.
Yeah, out here in California, it's pretty much every day is the same day in terms of weather.
Mm.
45 is cold here, so and
Right.
65 is warm in the Bay Area, so it's pretty crazy. So, is the stadium going to be full? I know that's a question that everybody's going to kind of wonder here because being in Texas, Texas recently lifted pretty much everything. So, what's the capacity like for the stadium?
But we still, because of the new player development league under the guidance of Major League Baseball, we fall under their guidelines, and Major League
Mhm.
Baseball has put out some guidelines as far as social distancing and pod seating through the month of May. So right now, even though our state allows for no masks or no worries on capacity and social distancing, we're still working under the auspices of Major League Baseball and kind of adhering to their guidelines right now. So we are roughly at about 40% capacity based on our pod seating and the way we've done things. That's how we're opening things up. At least that's the plan for us. But like I said, this situation is fluid. I've put together 3 seating manifests in the last week and submitted to Major League Baseball, and all of it is because the situation remains so fluid. We didn't know the governor was going to say what he said a little over a week and a half ago, and we didn't know the Rangers were going to make the stand that they did a couple of days ago, which is just down the road. They're our affiliate. We're 10-year agreement with them to be their AA affiliate. So that all kind of factors into it. And I think Major League Baseball is kind of looking into it. We're starting to see the state of Washington has come out with some guidelines. State of California is allowing some fans. Minnesota this morning has allowed some fans. I saw something last night from Pennsylvania. So because of that, and because of the circumstances being different in every location, from municipality to municipality, I think Major League Baseball and minor league baseball have to be flexible and allow us to do things in a cognizant manner, being aware of the situation that we are coming out of and are still technically in. And who knows what that end looks like for this pandemic. But I think if we do things right, we can ramp up very quickly. And our anticipation, even before Governor Abbott opened things up here or the Rangers made their decision, was all right, if it's 40% or 35%, we open up there. And then it's a gradual ramp up through the summer where we get to 75, and maybe by the time September rolls around, we're at 100% capacity. That timeline maybe shifts a little bit with everything that has happened. But again, it's all, you got to keep your head on a swivel. You have to be an offensive lineman and all of a sudden in this business to make sure you've got all the angles covered.
Yeah, it'd be great to see 100% capacity by the end. That would be a pretty awesome transformation. So, it's pretty common knowledge what the duties of a big league executive are, and they obviously have, maybe they have higher authority than someone in your position, but what would be your exact role in duties as kind of a president and GM of a minor league team? Because I know a lot of people don't know
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, no, and I'd push back probably that as far as a higher authority than me. I think when you talk about general manager, and I only say that from a general manager standpoint, they've got one thing to worry about: it's baseball.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I've got an entire organization and a facility to worry about. And currently on our field, we've got some high school kids and playing in a high school tournament that started yesterday. Last week, we had a college tournament here that had Arizona, Missouri, Dallas Baptist, and Oklahoma for 4 games and 8 games, or 4 days over 8 games. So there's any number of things that go into that. Dealing with the city, there's some development that's being planned across the street from our ballpark on our parking lot. Dealing with the city manager as to what the development looks like. So with the city council meeting coming up on Tuesday. So, I could go from one conversation sitting in my office about our seating manifest to talking to the city manager to talking to a developer. So it's just any number of things, to food and beverage, and all of a sudden a corporate partner walks in and they want to look at the ballpark and talk about signage and inventory and assets that we have here. So it's all encompassing, and that's what I like about it. I love controlled chaos, and that's just kind of what I thrive in. And to a certain extent, the mundane nature of a baseball season, and granted, I've lived it for 53 years on this earth. I was born into baseball, and I've seen it at every level with my dad and myself, and college level and all that stuff. I've gotten to that point where I'm good. I did 20 years in the broadcast booth, 18 in the big leagues. It's like I'm good. I want to do something else, and that's why we started our family business 2 years ago. I'm just driven by different things, and it's not about the almighty dollar for me. I could have, I could have cashed checks on the 1st and the 15th for the next 10, 15 years sitting in the Angels broadcast booth. Would have been great. Would it have been fulfilling? I don't know, maybe, because I enjoyed my job. Don't get me wrong. I loved where I was at. It. That's the best view in baseball. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, great fans. I was treated well. They loved me there. Artie was great to me as an owner. John Carpino, the president. But there are things in life that we're all wound differently, and certain things motivate us that may not motivate other individuals. And so that's what I love about this position, is that I get a chance to kind of do a little bit of everything. And I look at my watch, and all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, where did the day go? And now with the end in sight with May 4th, is like, no. I need that day back. I need more days now, in January, February, early February, you're still like, oh, we got time. Now it's like, no, I need those days back because we got so much to get going,
Yeah, exactly. And you have done everything. I mean, you mentioned growing up in a baseball family and playing professional baseball, coaching in professional baseball, broadcasting, front office. Was there any controlled chaos in the booth? Because I know you mentioned you like controlled chaos. Was there any of that in the booth besides maybe the travel? Because I know that
Maybe
would
not
be
on air.
Yeah.
Gooby and I had, we became very close, knew each other before I got the job, but really got to know him a little bit better as 11 years together and constantly being together, because we on the road we'd drive together to the ballpark, come back, go out to dinner, have some drinks, and so we were always talking baseball. He really is like my fourth brother. I grew up with three brothers, and total of four boys, and he's like one of us. I mean, there's so many similarities, and he grew up in a similar family, four boys as well, and his dad played minor league baseball. So a lot of chaos, if you will, but more of from a fun, ribbing nature. And that's the one thing that I'll miss. I love working with him. It was a lot of fun. I think we did some good things, and it's a subjective business. So I couldn't care less as far as what people think of my abilities to do my job. I feel like I did it at the highest level in the second largest market for a long time. And for a period of time, I did it between Vin Scully and Dick Enberg, who was down in San Diego and Los Angeles, respectively. So, I kind of figured it out and had fun. And now it's time to do something else,
Yeah.
People probably think I'm crazy, but it's like, I don't know. It's like I said, it's 18 years, 19 years overall, or 20 overall. It gets to a certain point where, from a travel perspective, it's like, it's old. I remember telling my dad when he was playing, I'm like, it's gotta be cool. You're going on a plane, you're going to San Francisco, or you're going here and that. And he's like, it's not as glamorous as you think. And I thought, when I got the job in Arizona for the first time, that, oh, this is awesome. Flying, private planes and charters and all that, and staying at the Ritz-Carlton, and it was cool. But dude, after a while, it's like the same old. You're living out of a suitcase. And then when we moved back to Texas and I was renting in California, I was essentially for 6 months living out of a suitcase. I was like 10 days on the road, come back, wash your stuff. You're there for 10 days, you're back on the road. And it's just, after a while, it's like, it's just turn off. I love the game part of it. If I could stay home and call games all day, I would have done that.
That's a good part of it. Yeah.
Right.
The remotely broadcasting was definitely an interesting component this year. So let's go back to minor leagues real quick. How do you go about marketing these players, or do you, like, on your roster, considering the players let's be honest, the players that you really want to market are the ones that are going to be getting out of there pretty soon. So how do you go about, marketing some of the minor league players that go through Frisco?
We really don't. The marketing plan isn't, revolving around a particular player. I think you could do it in a vacuum, if you will. So if you're going to get someone, for us, an example would be Josh Jung, who's a prospect in the Rangers organization, first round pick out of Texas Tech, third baseman. Maybe he'll be here. I don't know what that's going to look like. Maybe he starts at AAA for all we know, but that would be something you just take, all right, whatever time we think he's going to be there, and try to maximize the exposure and get people excited about seeing, the Rangers third baseman of the future here now. But for us, more about community. It's more about Americana and being a kind of a family atmosphere and watch some baseball. You have some beers. You could take a dip in the lazy river in right field. It's just it's a perfect summertime excuse to get out of the house. And oh, by the way, there happens to be a baseball game. And for us, we're fortunate twofold, because one, we're in a major league market. I mean, there aren't too many teams at our level at AA that can say they're in a major league market like the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. I mean, next door to us are the Dallas Stars practice facility and their executive offices. Down the road is FC Dallas. The Star is just on the other side of the toll road, which is the Cowboys practice facility. So there's any number of big league teams. And the second one is our affiliate is right down the tollway. The Texas Rangers. It's not like we're affiliated with somebody else outside of the area, and the Rangers play here. No, it's, if you see them here, they're more than likely going to end up there. And I think it kind of gives you that first glance at a cost-effective, price point. And I think that's what our goal is from a marketing perspective, is to pitch that not only to season seat holders or even single game ticket buyers, but also to our marketing partners.
Yeah, so I did some research on the ballpark, Dr. Pepper Ballpark, which, I mean, if anybody ever asks where you work and that's your answer, Dr. Pepper Ballpark, I mean, that trumps anything that they could say that they do.
My answer is the ballpark in Frisco, since Dr. Pepper is no longer the naming rights holder of it.
Oh, it's not.
No, they are we have, if I'm not mistaken, the largest pouring rights deal in minor league baseball with Dr. Pepper. But so they're still in the ballpark, but it's no longer. It's known as Dr. Pepper Ballpark because of the naming rights situation and the length of that contract. But yeah, that contract exited about 2 years ago. 2 weeks ago. That would have been great. No, about 2 years ago. And so we've been for that. So I refer to it as the ballpark.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I too bad you didn't get to be in the ballpark when it was Dr. Pepper, because that's a pretty awesome name. But no doubt. Rewind, Lazy River, is that right? Tell us about the Lazy River. What's going on there?
Well, if you just go to our website at ridersbaseball.com, you'll see pictures of it's a lazy river. I mean, it's a deck, and you got a big old lazy river out in right field. Basically goes from the right field foul pole out towards right center field. And it's a huge attraction. Got put in several years ago. And, it's just one of those things, the uniqueness of minor league baseball, right? You can kind of do what you want, if you will, within reason, especially from a promotion standpoint. One of the things that was talked about was trying to modify and kind of, with our summers here in Texas being as hot as they are, what can we do as opposed to kind of like the Diamondbacks pool in right center field, make it unique to us. And they came up with the concept of the lazy river, and it's packed. In years past, when you see some of the pictures, it's a great place to just watch baseball and drink some beers and catch a tan.
Yeah. Do you have any plan? Because I know you took the job, and it's obviously still the winter months, I guess. Do you have any plans of dipping in the lazy
I'll get
river
in there. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I might have to recreate, if we win a championship, jumping in a lazy river after the game. My dad, 1977, I think it was, he promised that if the Royals made the playoffs or won the division, that he and Freddie Patek would jump in the fountains in Kansas City. And sure enough, they did that. So maybe I'd have to recreate something like that if we end up doing something this year.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So there's an event at the ballpark coming up, the Lone Star Diamond Classic and the State Fair Diamond Classic. So tell us about what's coming up.
Yeah, it's a first-time event that's coming up this last weekend of March, and it's historically Black colleges and universities. It's an HBCU event, and we're looking forward to putting on this event. Torrey Hunter's been instrumental. He's from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and Arkansas Pine Bluff is one of the teams that's going to be here. So he and the coach are very tight. And Torrey owns a couple of barbecue places called Tender Smokehouse here in Frisco, as well as in Prosper, which is just up the road. And so he's been instrumental in trying to kind of build this first year event to see if we can grow it over the next several years. And then with my relationship with Bob Kendrick, the president of the Negro League Baseball Museum, I was able to reach out to him. And what I pitched to Prentice Hill, is the person who's in charge of putting this event together. on Thursday night before the event starts on Friday, can Bob do kind of a Zoom for the players and coaches? And Bob, I'm sure is probably one of the best storytellers I've ever come across, especially as it relates to baseball, especially in Negro League baseball. I figured what a perfect tie-in to have these young men that maybe don't know the history of Negro League baseball and some of the stories of Satchel Paige and the like, for Bob to just talk a little bit about that. So we're setting up a Zoom, each team in their hotels, in the conference rooms with Bob just doing his thing, and I don't even think you need a moderator because he's that good. He's just, hi, I'm Bob Kendrick, and I'm going to go and I'll talk to you in about an hour.
Just give him the link.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then I've asked him also to do a little research on, historical Black colleges and universities back in the 1920s and 30s and baseball at that level, and how it started, if there was any relations with the Negro Leagues or even baseball in general. And so I think it's going to be an amazing night just to listen to him tell these stories. I think the kids will take something out of it. And the hope and idea is, unfortunately, we're still with the social distancing. The HBCUs, it's difficult from a monetary standpoint to get kids to go there, number one. Two, to expose them to these universities and the opportunities that these universities present them. So they use these events around the country to try to gain exposure from an admissions perspective, to kind of open the door to different markets, to say, hey, we're here. And, if you've never heard of Arkansas Pine Bluff, this is who we are, and kind of opened up some ideas to maybe for some young kids that are at the high school level that are looking for that secondary education, and to further their education, to look at non-traditional schools, if you will. And we're going to try to figure out a way where we can still incorporate that, as opposed to just constantly being on the concourse, which in a normal year that's what you would like, and be able to have that interaction with admissions.
Yeah, that's great. And as you mentioned, all you have to do is give Mr. Kendrick the link, and he'll give you some great insight. And it's awesome what he's done with the Negro Leagues Museum. They had 0 furloughs throughout the entire thing, and they don't even have, it's like under 15, a little bit under 15 people working there full time. So it's pretty amazing. So real quick, you've worked for a few MLB kind of owned networks, MLB Network being one of them. I've always wondered about, people hopping on the air and, being critical about the league. And I remember watching the 10-year anniversary special, and Ken Rosenthal said he was very hesitant to work at MLB Network because of that reason. He's trying to do a job. He's trying to report thoroughly. And when the network is owned a little bit by the league, it could, be, you could be a little hesitant about that. So is that ever a problem for you?
Owned a lot by the league.
A lot by the league.
Yeah.
So is that ever anything that you worried about at all?
When I was on there?
Yeah.
No, I never worried about it. I think people that know me realize that I'm pretty true to my word. I'm not a big believer of putting on a facade just to appease. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down on my own terms. And I think that's kind of how my dad brought me up. It's like, why bite your tongue if you really believe in something? Stand up for it, speak your mind. And, you maybe get some pushback on certain things, but for the most part, people will realize that you're serious, number one, and number two, that you're someone to be reckoned with. And I'm trying to even think back, because I'm only there such a brief time, 11, 12 months before I got hired by the Angels. I don't think there was really anything that came up that was controversial. I didn't have to deal with the A-Rod situation when he had lied and had to do the mea culpa stuff. Yeah. One of the couple times that he had to do the mea culpa. But yeah, nothing really that stood out. But I think the lines have been blurred a little bit. I think from a journalistic standpoint, I know that's kind of your field. I think you have to take a stance. I think you have to be true to yourself. And if you've got a story and you're working on it, and it shines a negative light on the league that maybe pays you a little ancillary salary on the side to show up on, then so be it. I mean, because otherwise you're going to get called out. In today's world, you'll just get called out on it. you're just a shill
Mhm.
otherwise. And I would rather, this is just me personally, I would rather kind of be able to stand on my own 2 feet saying, hey man, I'm calling it as it is. And I think that's what Angel fans appreciated about me. I wasn't going to sugarcoat things. I wasn't going to crush anybody, like literally on the air, crush them, but they would know that, it's not that hard to hustle to first base. And it's not, it's just little things that would irk any fan, usually irk me. And I usually said my piece. And, but I thought I did it in a fair manner. And I think that's why Artie and I Mr. Moreno, had a pretty good relationship, because I think I kind of spoke about things that he was thinking about and thought about quite often. And,
Mhm.
with his frustration, I just voiced it and made sure that our fans knew it. I wanted to be true to them.
Yeah, and speaking of MLB Network, your former colleague was just hired as the new Angels play-by-play announcer, Matt Vasquez. Some thoughts on your former teammate taking over?
Oh, good for him. I mean, I'm happy for him. They got a couple of guys. Darren Sutton, I guess, is going to do some games as well, and they've added Jose Mota to the booth. So it's going to be a 3-man booth. So I guess the way I look at it is it took 3 people to replace me as I left. So I'm just kidding. But I mean, Matt Vasquez, Darren Sutton, and Jose Mota. But look, everyone's driven by, like I said earlier, everyone's driven by different things. And Matty's got MLB Network and the ESPN Sunday night thing, and he'll work in some games. And see, it seems like maybe Darren's going to do more games, because I think Matty's going to be remote.
Mm.
And for Darren, it's a return back to the Angels. He had done radio back in the day for them before leaving to go, I think, to Milwaukee and then on to Arizona. Was his career path. So some familiarity there, some baseball guys, and I'm thrilled for them. I really, honestly, I got golf on my TV right now. I haven't looked and watched many baseball games. They've been on in the background. I'm so busy doing what I'm doing. It's like, I'm happy. I had a great run. I'm looking forward. I'm not looking back, and I'm happy for everybody that is doing what they want to do. And congratulations to Maddie and to Sut for getting those gigs.
Yeah. So if they ever replace Gooby, if Gooby followed you out the door, that would have been a 6-man booth. So just think of it that way.
In theory, right? Yeah. If you start penciling that out, yeah, you're right. It'd be a 6-man booth.
Exactly. So real quick before we head out, you have a family brand called Big Fly Gear. Of course, that was your signature call, Big Fly for Mike Trout. So do you want to? Yeah, I try. So what got you interested in kind of the clothing industry? I know it's a family brand.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily the clothing side of things. I knew I wanted to do something business related. I just didn't know what it was, and it evolved into the clothing side. And started about brainstorming about 4 years ago. Kind of got into a design side of things about 3 years ago, or a little over 3 years ago, and kind of came up with the concept of creating a unique graphic based on a person, place, and or moment in baseball history revolving around the home run. So we've done tribute graphics for Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron, which is our 755. The M&M Boys, this is the 60th anniversary of the 1961 home run chase. So we did the M&M Boys, that's out now. We've done a Kirk Gibson 1988 home run off Dennis Eckersley. That's our Hollywood ending graphic. So just unique moments, really. It's just what comes up. We've about a month ago, we put out the back-to-back home runs by the Griffeys against the Angels. As a matter of fact, that's our like father, like son, and we don't have a Major League Baseball license, so we don't use players' names or likenesses. We create art. We create unique looking pieces that tell the story. I mean, I'm a storyteller. I was a storyteller as a broadcaster. I'm a storyteller. And we want our shirts to appeal to you from a visual standpoint, or you have a connection. Our Hebrew Hammer has been a very popular shirt since we launched it last year. It's our tribute to Hank Greenberg, the Hall of Famer. And, you're drawn to the graphic because you know the meaning behind it, and someone asks you about it. Now you're able to share that story of a little bit of baseball history. So that's kind of the idea behind it. We've been online for a little over 2 years and had a great run. We run it from our house. We do everything. We order it. We print it, pack it, and send it off. So it's been a lot of fun doing it. It's been hectic, but it's a lot of fun.
Hey, It's that's what you like, right? You like the
Yeah,
hectic mayhem. Yeah. So,
exactly.
so what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, you know what? If you really want to make Giants fans mad, and there's a lot of them that are listening that listen to my podcast and that I know, you should make a Scott Spezio shirt. So
Yeah,
there you
right.
go. I think
Would it be a Scott Spezio one, or would it be a Reggie Sanders unable to get over the wall to make that catch? Which would it be?
maybe it's a Russ Ortiz. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't know.
or Dusty Baker just telling Russ Ortiz to keep the baseball. It could
Yeah,
be so many
it
different
could.
options.
There's that's such an interesting rivalry that nobody ever thinks of, but
Yeah,
it's interesting that if you ask a Giants fan, and I was born in April of 2002, so I was irrelevant at this point. But if you ask a Giants fan, does that still hurt even after the 3 championships? They will tell you it does, and they
yeah.
would. So it's crazy that the 3 championships didn't really do any soothing in terms of some of the longtime fans.
Yeah,
Victor,
cool
I
thing about
appreciate.
that. Real
Yeah.
quick. I was working at MLB.com at the time. So
Mhm.
before it became this big bam behemoth that it is today. So there was MLB radio. And then for the playoffs, what we would do is shoot video highlight clips and piece it all together and kind of post it on the internet. I don't know if you remember real time players, but it's these little files, right? But I did the World Series part of it for MLB.com, and I remember shooting our quote unquote stand up in the lobby of MLB.com, right by the elevator, and it's I couldn't believe how that game unfolded. Those couple of games unfolded. It was just amazing. So
Yeah, that was the furthest ball I've ever seen hit. Is one of the greatest baseball lip reads of all time.
yeah,
So shout out
yeah.
Joe Buck for that one. Tim Salmon, of course. Victor, I appreciate you joining the show, taking the time. I know as you mentioned, you're very, very busy, so I appreciate that.
No, my pleasure, buddy.
So you guys could follow Victor on Twitter at Victor Rojas. Is it Victor J Rojas? I should have this up.
No, just Victor Rojas.
Victor Rojas. I don't know where I got the J from. Victor Rojas on Twitter. You could follow me on Twitter at Steven Rissotto, StevenRissotto, and the podcast on Twitter at RizzoCast, also on Instagram as well. And you could subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. Thank you guys for listening and have a great day.